Welcome to our third topic. This is a very brief course, family planning and population fertility. It has just a total of 5 topics. So today we shall have a look at the natural family planning, and as an introduction, we have it that natural family planning is simply knowledge of a couple's fertility by reading the body signs of fertility and applying this knowledge either to try and achieve a conception or postpone a pregnancy. So it is completely natural, free from drugs, chemicals, or devices, but follows the natural rhythms and functions of the body. It requires proper diligence and cooperation between the partners. Wow. That is our introduction to natural family planning. What are the objectives of learning this topic? By the end of this topic, you should be able to describe the menstrual cycle and also explain the different types of natural family planning. So we shall have some learning activities. I'll expect you to do some essays. I shall expect you to do some discussion, and with that, it shall be graded. Remember also, attendance is very important because every time you attend, you are graded in terms of attending. Now, maybe we start with a brief review of the menstrual cycle. I believe that you've ever heard about this term. You learned about it in your biology in primary school, maybe in secondary, yeah. And here we are. So the reproductive system of women, unlike that of men, shows regular cyclic changes that may be regarded as periodic preparations for fertilization and pregnancy. So you find that in humans, the cycle is a menstrual cycle, and its most conspicuous feature is the periodic bleeding that occurs with the shedding of the uterine mucosa, that is menstruation. So if I ask you what is menstruation, you should be able to let me understand by what I just mentioned. The length of the cycle varies in different women. The cycle can be as short as 31 days and as long as 35 days. An average figure is usually 28 days from the start of one menstrual period to the start of the next. So count of days start from the one of the menstrual bleeding. So from one of the menstrual bleeding, you count up to the 28th day is likely to receive another period or another season of menstruation. You're saying that those who would experience 21 days cycle, others experience 35 days cycle, but on average, most women experience 8 days cycle. So maybe we can talk about the proliferation phase. So at the end of menstruation, all except the deep length of the uterine wall have softened. Under the influence of estrogens from developing follicle, the uterine wall is rapidly in thickness from the 5th to the 14th days of the menstrual cycle. And this is preparation for the implantation and fertilization takes place during ovulation. What about ovulation? At about the 14th day of the cycle, an ovum is released from the ovary. The ovum is picked up by the ovulated ends of the fallopian tubes, the oviduct. It is transported to the uterus, and unless fertilization occurs, on up through the vagina. Increased basal body temperature, cervical mucus, being more slippery, stretchy, and increased in amount are all indicators of ovulation. Once the ovum is released, it can only be fertilized within 24 hours. We have the luteal phase, the menstrual cycle. So here the corpus luteum is formed after ovulation by the follicle that ruptures at the time of ovulation, and the luteal cells secrete estrogens and progesterone, and the uterine wall becomes highly vascularized and slightly edematous. under the influence of estrogen and progesterone from the corpus luteum. Pregnancy occurs, the corpus luteum persists to help maintain the pregnancy before placenta forms, and there are usually no more periods until after delivery. If there is no pregnancy, the corpus luteum begins to degenerate about 4 days before the next menses, that is 24th day of the cycle, and is eventually replaced by scar tissue. Scar tissue formed corpus albicans, that is according to Ganong 2005. So I want to believe that we've had at least an overview of the menstrual cycle. It happens in 3 major phases: the proliferation phase, the ovulation phase, and also the luteal phase. That is the major thing we need to comprehend. Let's look at natural family planning, that is fertility awareness and fertility awareness based method. So natural family planning is also called fertility awareness or periodic abstinence, and is practicing of abstinence from sexual intercourse during the fertile days, especially once we talked around the ovulation time. So it's based on understanding the female menstrual cycle, and the fertile time is recognized through different ways, such as checking cervical mucus, cervical mucus changes, that is Billings or cervical mucus method. Also measuring changes in body temperature, that is body temperature method, BBT. A combination of these two, that is symptothermal method and also calendar method, or a combination of several of these for more accurate identification of fertile period. So couples who choose to use natural family planning usually need personal guidance from a trained counselor, usually over several months, until they are able to correctly use the method on their own. During this time, the couple must choose another method to abstain from sexual intercourse, and the couple must cooperate and work harmoniously to use these techniques. So for it to be effective, the natural methods to be effective, we are just saying that the couples need to be up to the game. They have to be trained, they have to be taught, and it's not something that will take a day or 2 or a week. It may take a couple of months for them to be able to adapt to the situation of their bodies and be able to do what is expected, well, pregnancy is likely to result. So maybe something about the natural family planning. In terms of efficiency, effectiveness and efficiency, we have it that a 20% pregnancy rate occurs in first year for typical users of most natural family planning methods. This can reduce to 1% with consistent and correct use of the methods. So we are saying that it is effective, but we are saying that in terms of those who embrace such a method, within the first year of using the natural family planning method, the couple or the woman is likely to have pregnancy, and we are saying that there is a 20% probability pregnancy rate amongst those who will use this method. And we are saying that this can reduce to about 1 to 9% in consistent years as the person learns how to use this method effectively. So maybe we can look at the types of natural family planning methods, because methods, we've already mentioned them. We've talked about the Billing method, that is Billing ovulatory method, or cervical mucus method. And this is just based on the ability to recognize fertile and infertile phases of the menstrual cycle. Yeah, it usually requires a high level of motivation and preparation from both partners, and the woman needs to become aware of cervical mucus changes and abstain from sexual intercourse to avoid pregnancy during the fertile period. During fertile period, the cervical mucus becomes profuse, slippery, stretchy, and wet. The raw egg, white or clear, and lubricated. The woman is instructed that as soon as she notices any such mucus, the couple avoids sex, uses a barrier method, or uses withdrawal until after the peak day. So that means that this calls for the woman to be very observant, to be very sensitive, to be keen on checking out the changes within the mucus that is within the vaginal system, so that at the end of the day she's able to tell if she could be prone to a pregnancy. Then we have basal body temperature, that is BBT. And in this method, the woman is taught how to take her body temperature either orally, rectally, or vaginally at the same time each morning before getting out of bed. So here, the temperature readings are recorded on a special graph paper. The woman's temperature rises by 0.2 to 0.05, sorry, 0.5 degrees Celsius around the time of ovulation, that is about midway through the menstrual cycle for many women. So the couple is instructed to abstain from sex, use a barrier method, or withdrawal from the first day of menstrual bleeding until the woman's temperature has risen above her regular readings and for a full 3 days, thereby ensuring that ovulation has occurred and passed. After this, the couple can have unprotected sex until the next menstrual bleeding. Now again, this one calls for the woman to be very vigilant in terms of checking the temperature regularly, every day, every single morning before coming out of bed, plotting it on a graph paper, so that it shall help her know when the safe days are on and when the risky days when is reserved. Then we have the cervical mucus plus the BBT, that is the basal body temperature. It's called symptothermal method. So here, quite often, users of fertility awareness methods identify fertile and infertile days by combining the BBT and cervical mucus observations, and often other symptoms of ovulation such as abdominal pain, cervical changes, and breast tenderness. So the couple starts avoiding sex or using a barrier method or withdrawal from the first day of menstrual bleeding until the fourth day after cervical mucus and the third full day after the rise of BBT. If one of these events happens without the other, the couple waits for the other event before having unprotected sex. So again, I think what is standing out strongly for the family method is that the woman plays a very big role in terms of being vigilant, being keen, being able to take the temperature, observing the mucus. But again, the husband has to be also operative in terms of not engaging in sex with this woman during those days that seem to be the peak or type of ovulation that a pregnancy doesn't result. All right, we also have the calendar method. Here, the calendar method is used to identify at the end of the fertile time. Usually, before starting to use the calendar method, however, a woman must record the length of a month, 6 months. This is where most women they start using the calendar method. Right now, we have apps that women are getting on their phones, and they use them to help them monitor their phase. But remember, you're saying that it's something that you should have used for at least 6 months. Observe your menstrual period for at least 6 months. From there, you can make a conclusion that this is how my cycle is, and you can be able to be safe. But most who just jump in and start all of a sudden without having observed, that is how pregnancies result at the end of the day. The last day of the menstrual bleeding is always counted as day 1. So by subtracting 18 days from the length of the shortest recorded cycle, she gets the estimated first fertile time. And by subtracting 11 days from the length of the longest recorded cycle, she gets the estimated last day of the fertile time. So the couple avoid sex, use the method withdrawal, and the calendar method will be 14 days more in a row of avoiding sex, or use the withdrawal of barrier method in each cycle. Especially for women with irregular menstrual cycles, this much abstinence may be too restrictive to some couples. So again, Remember, we're talking about 16 days in a month. That is like half the month. And you'll find that there's some couples or some men who may not be able to be patient enough to hold on to wait for their wives to go through the fertile period and abstain. So we're saying that it could be a bit too restrictive for some couples, and that is how sometimes they choose to break the barrier and eventually pregnancy results. This method, so that is method number. First one, we had what? The billing ovulation method, or cervical mucus method. We had the second one as the basal body temperature, BBT. The third one, we had it as symptothermal method. We had also the fourth one as the rhythm method. And we have the fifth, natural family planning method called the standard phase method. So this natural method of family planning was developed through scientific analysis of fertile time in the woman's menstrual cycle. To prevent pregnancy, the couple obtains from barrier method of withdrawal on days 8 to 19 of the cycle. That is a formula based on computer analysis of the menstrual cycle, and on its efficacy shows that SDM is more than 95% effective with correct use and more than 88% with typical use. So among women who have read a cycle of 26 to 32 days length. So we're saying that here there shall be either use of barrier, abstinence of sex, or withdrawal on days 8 to 19. But how many days are those? Those are about, is it 9 days? No, 12 days, 11 days. Yeah, of abstinence, or using a barrier method like condom, or using withdrawal. Yeah, so again, it calls for the couple to really agree on what they really want. We do also have advantages of this method because we've said it has a 95% effective record among those who use it, and 88% with that typical use, those who use and sometimes may forget. So what are the advantages? Non-physical side effects free, only for the medical person, improved knowledge of the reproductive system, and also possible closer relationship with couples. What about the limitations? Low effectiveness due to user errors, because sometimes we are human beings, and men and women, now being married, they could be in need of sex anytime, and it could be a time that is fertile and pregnancy could result. So that is it could be low effectiveness, period of training required before use of the method. It also requires varying periods of sexual abstinence during fertility, cause emotional stress when the couple has to abstain for several days. Another limitation is that as activation of once the abstinence medication may be one best against HIV. We'll look at another, the sixth one is called lactational amenorrhea method, and that is a temporary method planning the lack of ovulation resulting from its exclusive breastfeeding. So whenever women are on exclusive breastfeeding, they're likely to experience what we call lactational amenorrhea method. Lactation, or to lactate, is to breastfeed, to produce milk. So when women are nursing their young ones, we usually advocate that they breastfeed for at least 6 months without giving water or any food of any kind, not even glucose, nothing at all, but just breast milk. So when the woman is purely breastfeeding the child other than giving any other food, we call it exclusive breastfeeding. So I'm saying that lactational amenorrhea is just a family planning method that usually is adopted by women because of lack of ovulation resulting from exclusive breastfeeding. So it is used during the first 6 months of postpartum only when fertility is low and the infant is fed solely on breast milk. So breastfeeding has the effect of stopping ovulation because it changes the rate of natural hormones for at least 6 months or longer. So if a woman is purely breastfeeding and consistently, then she's likely to be protected. She's likely to enjoy natural protection in terms of ovulation. There will be no ovulation within her system. And eventually, because of those natural hormones working, she's not likely to get pregnant. Okay, what about its effectiveness? The effectiveness of LAM, the lactational amenorrhea method. Here, pregnancy rate is about 2% for typical use in the first 6 months. In the first months, when used correctly, all LAM criteria, when all LAM criteria are right, it is usually right. Defined by three criteria. Of these three criteria is not met. Another method must be introduced in a timely manner to breastfeeding is practice. There is also no interference with the activity. It can be used immediately after birth. There is no cost or suppression, and also the child able to enjoy passive and be healthy. Because with the introduction of these other contraceptives, some children get affected because of the hormonal content within the contraceptives. Another limitation is that it decreases exposure to pathogens in water and other milk. Another advantage, and it also incorporates the best source of nutrition to infants. What about limitations? All the three LAM criteria are met. The criteria that we say, one, the baby has to be breastfeeding, or the woman's menstrual periods resume, and the baby is mainly experienced being breastfed. So another limitation, apart from the criteria being met, it does not protect against STIs. So, family planning method. The following we talk about the beginning of the method, the cervical mucus method. So look at the basal body pressure. Also look at the cervical mucus BBT, which is commonly called the same method. Look at the fourth natural family planning method, the calendar method. The fifth one we've looked at days method, that's the SDM, and we've also looked at lactation amenorrhea method in family planning, which is our sixth, and now our last but not least, our seventh natural family planning method is withdrawal method, commonly called the Euler's interrupts. And with this one, a couple using the method may have intercourse in any way acceptable to them until ejaculation is about to occur, at which point the male withdraws his penis from the vagina and external genitalia of the female in order to prevent sperm from entering the woman's reproductive tract. So the advantage of the withdrawal method is that it requires no devices. It involves no chemicals. It's available at no cost, and it can be used anytime. However, it does have the other side of the thing, whereby it has one strong disadvantage. I was talking about my mic was I would say that disadvantage about the natural family planning method in terms of fetal interruptions. And the major that stand out is that it is done for control on the side of the man, so that the male partner is able to have self-control, because sometimes it may lack. Sometimes again there's a possibility of the pre-ejaculatory fluid, the seminal fluid containing sperms that will flow into the vagina of the womb during its before the pregnancy is withdrawn. So with that means that it's likely to bring about failure among women, and to bring about 4 to 10% pregnancies per 100 women a year. That is when it's used conscientiously, that is constant, and people are aware that 14 to 23% of pregnancies per 100 women per year among the actual users of the withdrawal method or the coaches, according to the list of 2005. What would tell us that this is a good method, but it really requires self-control. It requires a lot of vigilance. It requires a lot of agreement between the partners, both and the male partner, and especially on the side of the male partner, so that pregnancy is results. Because all these methods are supposed to help pregnancy. All right. So in essence, I would expect you to define the term ovulation, the menstrual cycle, menstruation. I would expect you now to be able to describe the different methods or types of natural family planning we've gone through, and we've gone through 7 in total. We've gone the BOM or the mucus method. We've gone through the BBT, we've gone through the symptothermal method, we've also gone through the caloric method. We've also covered the SDM, the LAM, and the coitus interruptus. If you have any questions in line with these methods, or any query or any fallacy that you've had, what do you think will interfere with people using them effectively, and we will engage and discuss in our class when you are available. So thank you for your time and listening in. See you in our next class.